All right. Welcome, everybody, to Leaning into Leading, the conversation with Allison Cox. Hi,
Yeah.
Leslie.
Hello. I can't wait to lean. I tried to lean in to you, but I went this way. Leaning into leadership. Yeah, leaning forward.
Um, I'm really excited to have this conversation with you um, for like multiple reasons. One, because I am always inspired by the way you look at something. And I think that that's like we're all different, right? We all see things in different ways, but there's something that is so enthusiastic and thrilling actually for me to see something through your eyes. So thank you for joining me today on this conversation.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me. I'm so excited.
So I like to let the cat out of the bag at the very beginning of a live because I know some people just jump on right away and then, have other things going on. So um, today we're going to be talking about leaning into leading and how Allison like got to what that was through one of the ways. I'm sure there are many ways within that tools of access, but what that looks like to receive with working with horses. So Allison is a conscious horse, conscious rider facilitator. And next weekend, I'll be hosting her and Connor Hill for a webinar to lean in to what horses have gifted them. It's $10. You wouldn't choose that for what reason?
It's a steal.
Exactly. So, Allison, can you tell me a little bit, like, can we start in the place where, like, before you started to really create with horses, what was leadership to you and where did you learn it and where did you think you fell within being a leader?
Great question. I was literally just thinking about that this morning. I was like, what are we going to talk about? um, Before the life of horses, well, it was more about my leadership was more about more focused on myself and basically like survival mode. Um, like who can I be around that is going to judge me correctly or that I feel comfortable with? What job is going to accept me? Like I was always terrified to go get a office job because I was like, any job I applied for, I would always like not get it. I'm like, what? Why? Like a bookkeeper. I don't even know what a bookkeeper is, but they won't hire me. I'm like, okay. Bartending. Yeah. So, and I basically like I had a dog, and before horses I didn't realize that my dog was kind of the only person I talked to. So my life was very like this, and including the rest of the world was really scary. I didn't know that. I just kind of like went through life basically being aware of everything. And since I was a bartender, once I drank enough, then I was able to relax and talk to everybody else. That changed a lot when I found access consciousness and horses. And then being around, well, first access consciousness gave me a lot more awareness of what I was actually aware of, so that when I went to new places or went to talk to people, I didn't have to just shut down. I could be like, oh, I'm aware of other people's thoughts and stuff. So I got to expand my awareness out a little bit and relax around other people. Flash forward to, I don't know if we're flashing forward yet, but that was life before horses. Flash forward to horses, and the leadership thing started turning into to be around a horse, you have to be inclusive of everything. So I didn't really know what that meant until I started doing these exercises with horses, and also I started doing equine massage therapy first. So you meet a lot of horses that aren't just like, "Hi, I love you." They're like, "I'm hurting. I'm crazy. Do not touch me," especially right there where you have to touch me. So I had to do a lot of expanding and also um, manipulating horses. So I had to like put my attention over here while easing into their body. Whereas before horses, it was more like focus on, okay, what do I need to focus on in order to be safe? I did look at the future sometimes, but not that far into the future. But it was more like, everything is scary. Flash forward to horses, it was more inclusive. And there's a lot more to say about that, but I feel like you have another question.
Well, like, so the thing that I recognized yesterday in the live that I did with my friend Jared, just hearing his experience with horses is, it is like right up my alley, because the way that I facilitate classes is like, I'll take a picture of something and then apply it. And so just hearing you say that is like, how much do we try to zero in on the thing that we need to fix in our life? You know what I mean? And put all of our attention there.
Yes.
And then like, if it's your relationship, it's like all on the other person, and that has to be fixed right now or I can't survive. And then like let our awareness go of all the other things that are contributing to us, or people that are contributing to us. And so just like receiving that right now, it makes me even more excited for the class. So when you got invited to your first Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider class, or when you chose that, what was the like ask that you had, or like what was the energy of that? Because I know that for me, for a long time with Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider, I've known it's there, and I think horses are beautiful. And then eventually I owned a horse, and I still was like, but I'm not a horse person. You know, I've pretty much done that with all the specialties except being you. I'm like, but I don't sing. And also,
I'm doing it, but I'm not that. No, no, no.
I'm going to wear entities. I don't need to do that. So I'm just, wanting to have more of like what your awareness was in choosing it. And then if you can give us a little tidbit about how it's so much more than that, and without the projection or the expectations. And I know you know how to do this, like, because it's so easy to be like, come to this class and you'll get this. And you can't say that with any classes. And I don't understand why people do that. But so with all those words I just said, will you make a sentence out of them?
Yes, it made perfect sense to me. I got what you're putting down here. So yeah, the Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider class, you have no idea what will show up in that class. And a horse is different with every single person anyway, and including the class. The class is different with and for every single person. So there's that. I like to put a compartmentalized subjects in my head. So I may be doing this so we can come back to them when we need to. So I am going to boast. I freaking love my story about how I got into Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider, because I didn't grow up, from my point of view and my family's point of view, rich enough to be around horses or to take horse lessons or any of that. We were always, I loved horses. I was obsessed. I was a pretty good artist when I was a kid, and all I would draw was horses. And I would make my parents stop at every single horse that we saw on the side of the road and just like gaze at them. Or sometimes they'd come up to the fence and we'd feed them carrots. And that was about it. And then later on in life, again, flash forward, I had ridden more camels and elephants than I had horses by the time I finally became a horse person. I was like, that's funny. So I had started doing Access Consciousness, I don't know, almost 10 years ago or 10 years ago now. And I didn't really have any problems. I didn't have any problems. I didn't have any money, but I was able to travel the world, and I just kind of like did my own thing, and that was good enough. A few years into Access, after asking these questions, wondering what I was doing, my life went boom, like my business started growing. I started having money. I started traveling without having to worry so much, or like living without having to worry so much. And I was like, this is cool. And one New Year's Eve, I was like, okay, it's New Year's Eve. What should I ask for? I'm like, God, I'm kind of bored. Like everything's pretty easy now. Uh-oh. All right. So if this Access Consciousness stuff is real, what if I could ask for anything? What would it be? And I was like, I couldn't really think of anything. I was like, what did I want to be or do when I was a kid? I'm like, horses. Yeah, horses. I was like, all right, universe, I would like to work with horses every day and get paid for it. Okay, let's see what happens. So I sent my ass off into the universe, and a few weeks later, I was in South Carolina, and this lady was sitting next to me, and we started talking, and she's like, yeah, I'm an equine massage therapist and a canine massage therapist. And in my head, I was like, you can do that? I'm like, huh. I'm like, do you need a certificate for that? And she was like, yeah, I got one in Elizabeth, Colorado. I'm like, oh, that's like 30 minutes from my house. So I signed up to be an equine massage therapist the next week. I'm like, that matches. horses every day, money, cool. So I started doing that. And then there was a conscious horse, conscious rider facilitators class coming up too. I'm like, yeah, I think that matches. Yep, horses every day, money, cool. Let's do it. So I plunged in. I'm like, man, I wouldn't say, I didn't even know like what the withers were called. Do any of you know what the withers are on a horse? And some of you will and some of you won't, but I was like, I don't even know what that is. So the massage school for horses helped a lot. So I learned all of the anatomy. I eventually learned how to put a saddle on. I don't even know that I knew how to put a saddle on before I went to Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider facilitators. I do now. Now I have 2 horses, and it's like changing and it's always changing. But just diving into that and giving my first class of like 2 people was huge and changed so much for me and changed so much for them, and just kind of like was the gateway for what is now occurring 4 or 5 years later. So that's how the very first Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider class I ever attended, I was invited to be the host, and this is way before my ask even. And I was like, cool, I'll be the host. And I'm like, she's like, okay, well, you need to find a venue. I'm like, a venue? Okay. Well, I'm sure that will be easy. So I called around all the horse people in Denver around the area, and they were all so mean or didn't talk to me or said that I was trying to bring malpractice to their horses. I'm like, what? So it also opened up a whole new world of the horse world and the judgments that are in that area of life, which is the horse world. It can be very judgmental. What else do you have to say? I can feel it.
Well, I love talking to you. Wondering, like that whole thing about your ask. I'm going to compartmentalize too. First, I want to acknowledge something, and then I'm going to go over here and ask another question about class. Okay, so over here is like just this conversation today, you guys. If you never go to a conscious horse, conscious rider class, if you skip on the $10 webinar with Allison and Connor next week, I won't judge you, neither will Allison, but you know, but just that conversation of looking at like what you wanted to be when you were a kid, when you had way less judgment of what was possible.
Right.
So cool. You know, I mean, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I also wanted to work at SeaWorld. So I don't know how those play in my too. Maybe I do work with whales in a different way now. But anyways, I'm like inviting that energy as you're talking. It's like, wow, what was that for me before I was told I couldn't, before I was told what was possible and what wasn't for me, before economic things came into my world, you know, or what education I needed to create that. Like, where was my wonderment and what I would actually like to do with my life that excite me? So I would invite everybody to look at that today. And thank you for the invitation to that, Allison. And I love how it showed up for you. So the other piece I was looking at is like, I don't know. You guys, anybody following this right now? I really don't know about conscious horse, conscious rider. So I'm really coming from the wonderment. Is there a manual?
There is a manual. It's huge. And also it gives you too much information. It's like a cheating manual. I'm like, I'm kind of glad Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider doesn't really get a lot of attention on what needs to be changed. We need to put all the newest things in there. So it's kind of been this huge chunk of information that is pure gold that we were looking at changing the manual also and taking a lot of the stuff out. We're like, you know, this is like too much information. Like, we should take some out and maybe put it into different classes or like advanced classes or something. And then Gary Douglas, the founder of Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider, he's like, nope, we're keeping it how it is. So the manual, I can tell you, it is a gold mine. So there's that.
Because that's really exciting for some people to like take something home. And so in the manual, so I facilitate Being You classes that have manuals, and I facilitate Foundation that have manuals. And so I'm curious if there is a part of the manual that you really love exploring, or that like you can give the like title of, because what can we peek at that's in Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider that's not how to saddle, how to clean the hooves, how to, whatever that is that people project at it? Like what is one thing that you can share from the content there?
Oh man, there's so much stuff. And there is some riding stuff. So there's some also logistics in there too, if you're interested in that, which later on, I wasn't so interested in that stuff either at the beginning. And now I just bought like a whole freaking other Bible that tells you like everything. I just bought a horse that I actually have to take care of here. So I'm like, oh, no one is they're taking care of my horse, but I want to do extra. So anyway, I digress. In the manual, I guess one of my favorite parts, if I had to pick a favorite part, is, so the body part, there's a lot of body work in there too. So there's so many things I won't tell you, but there's awareness things, there's expanding your zone things, there is all kinds of things, but in the manual, there's also how to work on a horse in a totally different way than anybody else on the planet, I guarantee you, is working with horses and their bodies and their mental pains and physical pains or discomforts, diseases. So there's so many processes, we call them body processes and access consciousness, that you can do on horses. You can also do them on any animal. Any animal, you can even, if you get the hit to do it on plants. You can do them on yourself or your family. There's this whole section of body work that's available with the horses. And so people like horse owners are always like, oh, you get a horse and you wish you could like wrap it with bubble tape so that it wouldn't get hurt. But horses are like 2-year-olds or whenever kids learn how to like run. I don't know, 1.5. They're like, they are always like, they want to play, they want to run, they want to jump. A lot of them want to be athletes, or even if they don't want to be athletes, they want to just stand in the lawn and relax and eat all day. Both of those have like crazy different effects on their bodies. They also like to heal everyone. A lot of them like to heal everyone and everything around them. So the horses that choose to be around people, they're constantly taking out their owners' diseases, the people that they work with, like cancer, skin stuff, gut stuff, everything. They'll take it out and try to heal it for their owner. This manual gives you tools that allow you to work with the horse in a way that allows that to dissipate. And also, if the owner or the people around are willing, what would it take for everyone to have these tools? If the owner, the people around them are willing to see what the horse is presenting to them, they can also work on themselves to change the things that the horses are like, hey, this is going on for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So Kalina has a question here that I thought you should answer.
Oh, yes.
It's on the screen.
Do you need to have any experience with horses before coming to a Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider class? Great question. No, you don't. This class is so different. It's for anyone. It's basically to add to wherever you are starting. It's a set of tools that's going to add to your life, whether you have been with horses your entire life, whether you're a professional horse jumper, whether you're in the Olympics, whether you're like friggin' on the back of a horse in war. I don't think they do that anymore, but maybe they do somewhere. Actually, they might in the Middle East. And then it's also for people that are brand spanking new this lifetime. I would say the people that are new, it's probably 50-50. The people that are new are always like scared at first, and then we go through processes that allow you to relax. And I see shifts usually within the first like 10 seconds. People are like, what? Oh, okay, horses. You get to explore things you've never tried before, explored before. You can't predict with a horse what is going to happen. You can definitely predict everything you think is going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Which you'll start to melt away all of those things. And then if you've been with horses a long time and you are a horse expert, you also have predictions of what's right, what's wrong, what you can do, what you can't do. And we use those same questions, tools, and processes to melt away all of those limitations you've built up over time to give you a totally brand new experience with the horse you've been with for 5 years or 8 years or 10 years or whatever. So whether you're new or whether you're old.
Your life.
Exactly. Yes, and everything that you change with the horses, literally, I promise you, changes how you interact with the rest of the world in the same way. It melts those same limitations.
Cool. I am so grateful for this live.
Too.
So everybody knows, I'm going to say it again, next weekend, Saturday, we're doing a $10 webinar with both Connor Hill and Allison.
I'm
dive a bit more of these topics. And then put the link there, or I'll show it here. You can go to sarahgrandinetti.com/giddy up.
Giddy up.
Is that / or is that backslash? That's
slash.
It's like what the top is doing.
Lean slash.
We'll just say slash. There goes my ADHD. And if you were like busy next weekend and don't want to do the webinar, and you still want to take the class, Allison and Connor are doing a Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider live class in Puerto Vallarta in between Global Foundation with Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here. Definitely look at taking that. And Dr. Dane here is doing ESB the following weekend. And in the middle, in the sandwich, the gooey center of the possibility sandwich, the Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider live in Puerto Vallarta. So
yay, I can't wait. Arre!
You're invited to all of it. And Allison, I adore you so much. And
thank you. I adore you too. This was awesome. I'm glad you're making me stop. Okay. We'll see you on the webinar for $10 next week. There's a lot more. I will shut my mouth now.
Because when I'm on the other side of this, I'm like, hold on, here's the whole.
I know. No, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
End the broadcast.